Hello everyone. Today in this video lecture, we are going to explain about basics of chromatography. In that contents are includes that introduction, classification of chromatography, chromatograms, column efficiency and Pole and Dawes equation, development of chromatograms, optimization of chromatographic separations and optimization of chromatographic conditions, criteria for selection of stationary phase and mobile phase. Finally, what are the applications of chromatography?
Then, introduction and classifications of chromatography. History of chromatography. The subject of chromatography, it was first introduced into the scientific world M. Tasvet in 1906. Then he employed a technique to separate various pigments like chlorophyll and xanthophylls by passing these solutions into the column, and it was filled and packed with finally divided it calcium carbonate. Then after the later, Thomson and Way had realized ion exchange properties of soil almost after the 30 years. In 1935, Adams and Holmes observed the ion exchange characteristics in crushed phonograph. This observation opened the field for preparation of ion exchange resins. Here, phonograph means an instrument for reproducing the sounds by means of the vibration of styles and or needles following a spiral groove and revolving disc. Then the concept of gas liquid chromatography, it was first introduced Martin and Singe in 1941. Then the concept of liquid chromatography, they were also developed. In 1944, Martin laboratory, they separated amino acid by using paper chromatography. In 1960, further improvement in liquid chromatography led to the development of high performance liquid chromatography or HPLC. The following decades of 1970s saw an improvement in the field of adsorption chromatography in the form of affinity chromatography, which was mainly based on biological interactions. Then, introduction of chromatography. Here, the term chromatography, chroma means a color and graphian means to write, is the collective term for set of laboratory techniques for the separation of mixtures. Then chromatography involves a sample being dissolved in a mobile phase, which it may be a gas, a liquid, or supercritical fluid, anything. The mobile phase is then forced through an immobile or invisible stationary phases. The mobile phase are chosen such that component of sample have different solubilities in each phase. Then a component which is quick soluble stationary phase, it may be longer, it may be take longer to travel through it than a component which is not very soluble in stationary phase, but it is very soluble in mobile phase. Techniques such as HPLC. HPLC means high performance liquid chromatography, and GC, gas chromatography, uses columns, a narrow tube packed with stationary phase through which the mobile phase is forced. The sample is transported through the column by continuous addition of mobile phase. This process can be called elution. Then chromatography. Chromatography. Chromatography is a method of separation in which components to be separated are distributed between two phases. Here, components can be distributed to two different phases. One of these is called stationary phase and other one is mobile phase. Here, stationary phase which moves on stationary phase and mobile phase in definite directions. The component of mixture redistributed themselves between two phases by a process which may be adsorption or partition or ion exchange or size exchange. Then stationary phase can be a solid or liquid, and the mobile phase can be liquid, gas, or supercritical fluid. Then classifications of chromatography. Here we can be classified chromatography on their basis. First, on the basis of interaction of solute to the stationary phase, it can be classified 4 types: adsorption chromatography, ion exchange chromatography, partition chromatography, and size exclusion chromatography. Then we can be classified on the basis of chromatography. It can be 2 types: two-dimensional. It can be further divided into 2 types: thin layer chromatography, paper chromatography. Three-dimensional, it can be classified into column chromatography. Then we can be classified on the basis of on the physical state of mobile phase. There are 3 types in mobile phase: liquid chromatography, supercritical fluid chromatography, and gas chromatography. Then elution in column chromatography. Here, the column consists of narrow bore tube packed with inert solid holds the stationary phase on its surface. Here, columns can look like burette. The mobile phase occupies the open space between the particles. Sample containing mixture A and B in the mobile phase is introduced at the head of the column as narrow plug at a time. In column 1, we can see in column 1. Then at column 2, mobile phase are introduced moves down the column along with the sample. In column 2, sample moves down in the column 2. Then further addition of solvent carry solute molecules down the column in a continuous series of transfer between 2 phases. Then the average rate at which solute migrate depends on the fraction of time. This fraction is small for solutes that are strongly retained by the stationary phase, whereas large in mobile phase. The movement of mobile phase causes the component in a mixture to separate into bands or zones along with the length of the column. Solution of the separated species is then accomplished by passing a sufficient quantity of mobile phase through the column to cause the individual bands to pass out the end, where they can be collected or detected at column 3 and column 4.
Next, we have to move on chromatograms. If a defector that responds to solute concentration placed at the end of column and etc. Single is plotted as function of a time. A series systematic peaks obtained such a plot is called chromatogram. A chromatogram is a plot of some function of solute concentration versus elution time on elution volume. The position of the peak on the time on axis can be used to identify the component of the sample. The areas under the peaks provide a quantitative measure of the amount of each species. Next, move on to retention time. It is a graph plotted versus detector versus time. TR means identification of retention time. Figure A, that graph represented chromatogram for a two-component system. The chromatogram percentage above as 2 peak retained by the stationary phase. The time TR means retention time. retention time after sample injected time retention after sample injected for the peak to appear some time called dead time. The dead time provide measure of average rate of migration of a mobile phase and is an important parameters in identifying analyte peaks. Next, the larger peak right is that of analytic peak that is required for the peak to reach the detection after sample injection is called retention time and it is given by TR. The average linear rate of solute migration V dash equals L divided by TR. Next, L is the length of column packing and the average linear velocity versus of the molecular of mobile phase is U equals L by Tm. Next, the capacity factor. It is also called as retention factor. The capacity factor is an important experimental parameter that is widely used to describe the migration rate of solute on columns. For a solute A, the capacitor factor K dash N is defined as K dash A equals Ka Vs divided by Vm, volume of mobile phase and volume of stationary phase. Ka is a portion ratio of A. Here V dash equals U into 1 by 1 plus Ka dash. Tr equals 1 by Tm into 1 divided by 1 into Ka dash. So we have rearranged that Ka dash equals Tr minus Tm divided by Tm. Next, the capacitor factor of K dash A for solute A describe the rate at which A migrates through the column. When value of K dash A for a solute occurs so rapidly that accurate determination of retention time is difficult. When capacity factor is larger than perhaps 20 to 30, solution times become inordinately long. Next, the selectivity factor. It is also called as suppression factor. The selectivity factor is also represented by alpha of column for two species A and B is defined as alpha equals Kb divided by Ka, where Kb is a partition ratio for more strongly retained species B and Ka is a constant for less strongly held on more rapidly eluted species of A. According to this definition, alpha is always greater than unity. After substituting the previous equation and rearrangement, alpha equals K dash B divided by K dash A. Next, K dash A means equals K dash A equals Ka into Vs divided by Vm, volume of stationary phase and volume of mobile phase. K dash B equals Kb into Vs divided by Vm, where K dash B and K dash A are capacity factors for B and A respectively. After further substitution into equation 4, alpha equals TRB minus TM divided by TRA minus TM. The selectivity factor alpha for a solute A and B is defined as ratio of partition ratio of more strongly retained solute B to partition ratio of less strongly held solute A. Next, chromatographic resolution. It is also identified by R or RS. The goal of chromatography is to separate a sample into series of chromatographic peaks, each representing a single component of samples. Resolution is a quantity measure of the degree of separation between two chromatographic peaks A and B, and it is defined as R equals TRB minus TRA divided by 0.5 into WA plus WB. Next, R equals 2 delta TR divided by WB plus WA. And next, the representation of graph between solute concentration and distance of down column. 3 examples for chromatographic resolution within A, B, and C.
So the next topic is column efficiency and Foley-Darcy equation. Column efficiency is the efficiency of the chromatographic peak is a measure of the dispersion of the analyte band as it travels to the column. It means column efficiency is the band broadening process. If the higher the column band broadening, the smaller the number of the components that can be separated in a given time. And if the higher the efficiency, the more peak is dispersion is restrained, and the better the column. And the column efficiency will vary with the retention of the peak. On the expression to calculate the column efficiency, it can be derived from the plate theory, and the height of theoretical plate or variance per unit length of column is calculated as the ratio of column length to the column efficiency. And this column efficiency in generally expressed by the number of theoretical plates, and it is determined by the formula n is equal to 16 into tr square divided by w square, where tr is the retention time and w is the width of the peak, and the number of theoretical plate is the number of theoretical plate is the measure of the goodness of the column. And if the retention time is high and the peak width is narrow, then it shows excellent chromatograms. So now let's take a look at this chromatogram. In this chromatogram, there is a chromatogram. See, and it has a single peak, and it has retention time TR, and it has base width denoted by WB. On here, the number of theoretical plates can be calculated by using the formula n is equal to 16 into TR square divided by W square. We are substituting the value of retention time TR is equal to 34.6 millimeter, and where the WB is equal to 2.5 millimeter. We can simplify, we get n is equal to 3064, where it is the number of theoretical plates. There is another way of to express the column efficiency is by calculating HETP, means high equivalence theoretical plate, which is equal to L by N. That is, HETP is equal to L by N, where L is the length of the column. Uh, Here the length of the column is given is 2 meter when it is converted into 200 millimeter, and number of theoretical plate that is 3064, which we was previously calculated. Then substituting this value to the uh, formula HETP is equal to L by N, we get 0.065 millimeter per theoretical plate. Next, we are moving to theories of chromatography. There are two theories, plate theory and rate theory. Here we are going to discuss plate theory. Plate theory is developed by the scientists Martin and Singe in the year of 1941, and here column is divided into a number of adjacent imaginary segments called as theoretical plates. Within each theoretical plate, analyte completely equilibrate between stationary phase and mobile phase. Here, the partitioning of a solute between the two phases takes place at each theoretical plate. Thus, the number of theoretical plate in the column is used to measure efficiency of column to separate the components from each other. So, according to the scientist Martin and Sinch, the number of theoretical plate, which is denoted by n, which is equal to the ratio of the length of the column and uh, and height. That is, n is equal to L by h, which is called as equation 1, where n is the number of plate and L is the column efficiency and h is the plate height. By assuming Gaussian profile, the extent of the band broadening is measured by the variance or standard deviation of chromatographic peak. Therefore, the height of the theoretical plate is defined by the variance per unit length of the column. That is, H is equal to sigma square by L, where sigma square is the variance, L is the length. Usually, retention time and peak width are measured in seconds or minutes, which is more convenient to express the standard deviation. Therefore, the unit of time is represented as tau. Therefore, tau is equal to sigma by u, which is equal to sigma into retention time divided by L. If the chromatography peak has Gaussian shape, it if the chromatographic peak has Gaussian shape, its baseline width is W, which is 4 times of its standard deviation. That is, W is equal to 4 tau. By combining equation 2, 2 and 4 gives the height of a theoretical plate, that is H is equal to L into W square divided by 16 TR square, which is called as equation number 5. So by using this equation 5 and 1, we can calculate the number of theoretical plates. That is, n is equal to 16 into TR square divided by W square. So in generally, the number of theoretical plates can be approximated as n is equal to 5.545 into TR square divided by W of, where W of is the width of the chromatographic peak at half its height. So the next is Foley-Darcy equation. They are the Foley-Darcy are the two scientists. They give a equation n is equal to 41.7 into retention time divided by width whole square divided by a by b plus 1.25. So um, this equation used to calculate the number of theoretical plates for asymmetric peak. So we know that n is equal to 16 tr square divided by w square is the formula usually we use to calculate the number of theoretical plates by using Gaussian shaped peak. But for an asymmetric peak, the efficiency can be determined mathematically by using next slide. So the graphically measured by means of retention time TR with peak width at 10% of peak height and the widths from retention time to the left and right sides respectively of the asymmetric peak is given by a plus when the peak is symmetrical the peak width at high percent height by means of this Foley and Darcy derived the number of theoretical plates gives the equation n is equal to 41.7 where tr by w whole square divided by a by b plus 1.25. So this is the graphical representation of the Foley-Darcy equation. Here the graph is detector response versus time. A and B are the two asymmetric factors. By combining these two asymmetric factors, the peak height of the peak we can be calculated. So the next is retention index. So this retention index is used to convert retention time into system independent constants, and this retention index which was proposed by Kovacs for identifying the solute from chromatograms, and this retention index which was represented by the symbol I. The retention index for any given solute can be derived from a chromatogram of a mixture of that solute with at least two normal alkanes having retention time that brackets that of the solute. That is, normal alkanes are the standards upon which the retention index scale is based. The retention index of a normal alkane is equal to 100 times the number of carbon atoms in the compound, regardless of the column packing, the temperature, or other chromatographic conformations. The value of retention index can be calculated by using the linear plot of the adjusted retention time versus number of carbon atoms, that is T dash R is equal to TR minus TM.
Development of chromatograms. Development of chromatograms. Chromatographic development after charging the column can be done by three methods. First one is the frontal analysis, second one is the elution analysis, and third one is the displacement analysis. First, we discuss about the front-end analysis. In a front-end analysis, the sample solution is passed through the adsorbent. The active centers of the adsorbent are occupied by more strongly adsorbed components, and the least strongly adsorbed component accumulate in the traveling front. In the first stage, pure solvent and the least strongly adsorbed solute A will be emerged from the column. If we plot a percentage E against the volume of the aerant, the successive plate indicates the emergence of the additional solute in the effluent. Frontal analysis gives a resolution of the weakly adsorbed solute, and a shallow bed and a small volume used would give a good results. And second one is the elution analysis is the most popular technique. The eluent, which may be pure solvent, is passed through the column, which in turn leads the differential migration of the solute in the mobile phase. If the flow rate is fixed, separation value depends upon the value of Kd. If the Kd is large, different bonds, different components will separate out. And the third one is displacement development. Separation is achieved by running a more strongly adsorbed displacing agent into a column. The displacement agent is preferentially adsorbed and concentrated into a zone near the top of the column. All the sample components are driven out ahead of the displacer through the column. First one is a zone in order to decreasing the sorption strength are produced. The second one, the least strongly bound leaves column first, and finally the displacer comes out. The main advantage of this technique is a heavy loading of the column is possible, and it is used in a preparatory work. However, complete separation of the bond is not always possible through the tailing is minimum, and the method most useful in partition chromatography. Next one is a peak capacity, that is NC is equal to 1 plus root of N divided by 4 ln Vm divided by Vm. Another important consideration is the number of solutes that can be baseline resolved on a given column. An estimate of the column peak capacity NC is equal to 1 plus root of 1000 divided by 4 into ln of 30 ml divided by 1 ml, that gives 86 solutes. If the minimum and maximum volumes of the mobile phase in which the solute can elute 1 ml and 30 ml, this estimate provides an upper bound on the number of solutes that might be separated and may help to exclude from the consideration column that not have enough theoretical plates to separate complex mixture. Just because the column theoretical peak capacity is larger than the number of solutes to be separated, however, does not mean that the separation will be feasible. In most situations, the peak capacity obtained is less than estimated value because the retention characteristics of some solutes are too similar to affect their separation. Next one is a non-ideal behavior. The treatment of the chromatography assumes that a solute elutes as a symmetrical bond, such as that shown in a previous chromatogram. This ideal behavior occurs when the solution partition coefficient Kd is constant for all the concentration of the solute. In some situation, chromatographic peak shows a non-ideal behavior, leading to asymmetrical peaks similar to those of the shown in figure 6a. The figure shows that frontening and a tailing. The frontening means a tail at the beginning of the chromatographic peak, usually due to injecting too much sample. And a tailing means a tail at the end of the chromatographic peak, usually due to the presence of the highly active sites in the stationary phase. Figure 6a. Okay.
Optimization of chromatographic separation. We know that R is equal to TR1B minus TRA divided by WB. After rearranging the equation for the resolution between the chromatographic peak for solute A and B is R is equal to 1 by 4 root of NB or alpha minus 1 divided by alpha into K dash B divided by 1 plus K dash B. The above equation contains terms corresponding to column efficiency, column selectivity, and capacity factor. The first term in the equation is function of number of theoretical plates or height of the theoretical plates H accounts for the effect of column efficiency. The second term is a function of alpha and accounts for the influence of column selectivity. Finally, the third term in both equation is a function of k dash b and accounts for the effect of absolute b dash capacity factor. Therefore, by manipulating these terms, chromatography resolution can be improved. First, capacity factor Kb to optimization of optimize the resolution. Adjust, Adjusting the capacity factor to improve the resolution by increasing k dash b may substantially increase the retention time for later eluting solute, and on the other hand, decreasing the uh, capacity factor as a means of shortening the overall analysis time may lead to loss of resolution for solute eluting with a shorter retention time. In first uh, graph A shows that improving the resolution of the overlapping bonding chromatogram. The graph B shows results in a longer analysis time for chromatogram. The second one is column selectivity to optimize resolution. A second approach to improving the resolution is to adjust alpha. In fact, when alpha is nearly I, its retention index, it is usually not possible to improve the resolution by adjusting capacity factor or n. Changes in alpha often have a more dramatic effect on resolution than capacity factor. For example, changing alpha from 1.1 to 1.5 improves resolution by 267%. A change in alpha is possible if chromatographic conditions are altered in a manner that is more selective for one of the solute. If a solute participates in a secondary equilibrium reaction in either the stationary or mobile phase, then it may be possible to alter that phase in a way that selectivity changes the solute capacity factor. For example, figure A shows the below figure A shows how the pH of an aqueous mobile phase can be used to control the retention time, and thus the capacity factor for two substituted benzoic acids. The resulting change in alpha is shown in figure with the below figure B. In gas chromatography, adjustment in alpha are usually accomplished by a change in stationary phase. The, that graph A variation in the retention time TR mobile phase pH. The graph B the resulting change in alpha with mobile phase.
Optimization of chromatographic separation column by column efficiency. So in order to increase the efficiency of the column, we have to increase the number of theoretical plate. But the problem is, if we increase the number of theoretical plate, the time required for the analysis also increases as the column length increases. To overcome this problem, we have to decrease the height of the plate so that we can increase the number of plates without increasing the column length. So to decrease the height of the theoretical plate, we should know some experimental factors that are contributing to the band broadening. The rate theory mainly describes how we can decrease the height of the theoretical plate so that the band broadening does not affect the efficiency of the column. The height of the theoretical plate can be determined by the following four contributions. First one is the multiple paths or eddy diffusion. Second one is the longitudinal diffusion. Third one is the mass transfer in solid stationary phase. And the last one is mass transfer in the mobile phase. First one, the multiple path diffusion or eddy diffusion. So in a chromatographic column, solute elute along with the mobile phase in a different paths, which requires a different time to reach the detector. So the principal factors contributing to this variation may be non-homogeneous packing of a stationary phase, that is irregular packing, and differences in the particle size, that is if the packing material of a stationary phase is not finely crushed. And the third one is the packing inconsistency. So here we can see the solute eluting along with the mobile phase in following different paths. This solute follows a straight path, hence it requires less time to reach the detector, whereas this solute it takes a longer path, hence reach the detector in a longer time. So this is the contribution of multiple paths to height of the theoretical plate is given by Hp, and Hp is equal to 2 lambda dp, where dp is the average diameter of the particle packing material, and lambda is the constant accounting for the consistency. So here as lambda is a constant, Hp depends upon dp, that is dp is constant, hence hp depend upon lambda. If the value of lambda is smaller, then hp also becomes smaller. For an open tubular column, that means where they have no packing material, hp is 0. Second one is longitudinal diffusion. The longitudinal diffusion occurs due to the diffusion of solute molecules within the mobile phase, even though the mobile phase's velocity is 0. The contribution of longitudinal diffusion to the height of the theoretical plate is given by Hd, which is equal to 2 nu dm by u, where dm is the solute diffusion coefficient in mobile phase, u is the velocity of the mobile phase, and nu is the constant related to the column packing. So the effect of Hd, that is the longitudinal diffusion on the height of the theoretical plate, can be minimized by the high mobile phase velocity. That is, Hd is inversely proportional to the velocity of mobile phase. So by increasing the velocity of the mobile phase, we can decrease the longitudinal diffusion. Third one is the mass transfer in mobile phase and stationary phase. The contribution to band broadening results from the finite time required for a solute molecule to diffuse through the stationary phase and mobile phase. We know that the basic principle of chromatography is that the distribution of a solute between mobile phase and a stationary phase. So for the solute to move from one phase to the another, it must first pass through a interface between the two phases, and this is known as mass transfer. A contribution to the band broadening occurs whenever a solute movement to the interface is not fast enough to maintain a true equilibrium of solute between the two phases. Thus, the solute molecule in the mobile phase move farther down the column than expected before passing to the stationary phase, and vice versa. The contribution of a mass transfer in the stationary phase is given by Hs, which is equal to q k dash df square u by 1 by k dash whole square into ds, where df is the thickness of the stationary phase, ds is the solute's diffusion coefficient in the stationary phase, q is the constant related to the column packing material, u is the velocity of mobile phase. The contribution of the mass transfer in the mobile phase is given by Hm, which is equal to a function of dp1 square dc square into u divided by dm, where dc is the column's diameter, dm is the solute diffusion coefficient in mobile phase, u is the velocity of mobile phase, and dp is the average diameter of the particulate packing material. So we have now come across the four important factors that affects the height of the theoretical plate. So the net height of the theoretical plate is the summation of the contribution of all these terms we have studied above. So the equation is H is equal to Hp plus Hd, that is multiple path diffusion plus longitudinal diffusion plus mass transfer in stationary phase and mass transfer in mobile phase. So the alternative form of this equation 3 is the Van Demeter equation, which gives H is equal to A plus B by U plus Cu, where A accounts for the multiple parts diffusion, that is Hp, B by U accounts for the longitudinal diffusion, that is Hd, and Cu accounts for the mass transfer of solutes in a stationary phase and a mobile phase, Hs and Hm respectively. The modernized version of a Van Demeter equation is given by H is equal to B by U Cs plus Cm into U. So, in order to increase the number of theoretical plates without increasing the length of the column, we have to decrease one or more terms in equation 3 and 4. That is, by decreasing some of these diffusion, we can increase the number of plates without increasing the height of the column. So the easiest way to accomplish this is by adjusting the velocity of mobile phase. As we seen in the longitudinal diffusion, by increasing the velocity of a mobile phase, we can easily decrease the height of the plate. And at lower mobile phase velocity, the column efficiency is limited by longitudinal diffusion, whereas at high velocity, the efficiency is limited by 2 mass transfer terms.
Next is criteria for the selection of stationary phase and mobile phase. In that, first we shall move on to the criteria for the selection of stationary phase. The liquid stationary phase employ the first criteria for the selection of stationary phase. First one is solid stationary phase. Absorption should be satisfy several requirements. It should not be dissolved or inert react with the solvent. It should have the higher mechanical stability. It should have the absorption capacity. It should be chemically inert to the components of the mixture. It should suit this nature of the substances to be separated. It should be inexpensive. Should exhibit very good reproductive and reversibility in absorption characteristics. The density of this stationary phase should be higher than the solvent used. Next one is liquid stationary phase. Liquid stationary phase employ in a gas chromatography. The main requirements are it should be practically non-volatile and stable at the operating condition. It should have the reasonable compatibility of the sample component. It should have low velocity at the operating temperature. There are some criteria liquid stationary phase which interact with the specific group of solute forming loosely chemical complexes and are employed specifically separation only. Some of the examples are stationary solution in silver nitrate, in ethyl glycol, glycerol, triethyl glycerol, and benzyl cyanide. The liquid phases are generally classified into the following groups: non-polar, polar, intermediately polar, liquid present with the hydrogen bonding and specificity. Non-polar liquid as phase does not have any polar or polarizable group. Examples are hexadecane, methyl silicon gum, swaking, and Se30, etc. Polar phases contain the significant proportional of the polar groups and retain selective polar and polarizable solute. Example is dimethyl sulfonate. Intermediate liquid contains relatively lower proportional of polar group and dissolved both polar and non-polar solute with slightly more affinity for the polar ones. Example are dodecaphenylephthaline and benzyl biphenyl. In certain liquid stationary phase, hydrogen bonding type interactions are observed with the solute. Example is diglycerol, poly, polyphenyl glycol, and etc. The silver ion form loss adequate with the olefin and thus they are written much longer. relative to the probability which passes out quick. Acetylene hydrocarbon form silver acetylene and do not elute out. Next, TCEP is a super selective for aromatic on the phase of benzyl elute in E10 to D13 stationary hydrocarbons. Next one is criteria for the selection of mobile phase. In that liquid mobile phase, the role of the solute in liquid chromatography is maximum. The performance and the performance. Therefore, the achieve adequate resolution within a resolvable is therefore very important. Beside maximum resolution, the solute must satisfy many other particle requirements. They are common stability, compatibility with the detector, adequate solvent for the sample, and non-interference with the sample recovery. Next one is gas mobile phase, or it also called as carrier gas mobile phase. The main purpose of the carrier gas in gas chromatography is to transport sample component through the column. However, choosing a proper carrier gas following conditions are to be taken in account. It should be inert and it not interact with the sample. It should form the detector employ and the type of the sample analysis. It should give the best column performance consist with the desired speed of the analysis. It should be readily available in higher purity. It should not cause the risk or rise or exponential hardness. It should be cheap.
Next, the final is the application of chromatography. Chromatography is a versatile method through which different kind of chemical mixtures of substances. Here, the word versatile is included in the definition because there are a number of techniques that can be used to separate a chemical substance into its individual components. Various chemical substances are made up of these components. Plants, dyes, and inks contain components. Using chromatographic technique, it uses components depending on the needs of the technician. Here, I will focus on different types of chromatography, their uses and applications in microscopy. Chromatography important role in many pharmaceutical industries and also in the chemical and food industry. Environmental testing laboratories generally want to identify for various of contaminants such as PCBs in waste oil and pesticides. The Environmental Protection Agency makes the method of chromatography to test drinking water and to monitor air quality. Pharmaceutical industries use this method both to prepare huge quantities of extremely pure materials and also to analyze the purified compounds for trace contaminants. The other applications of chromatography, especially HPLC, is used to protein separation like insulin purification, plasma fractionation, and enzyme purification. These separation techniques like chromatography gain importance in different kind of companies, biotechnology, biochemical processes, and forensic science. Chromatography is used for quality analysis and checker in the food industry by identifying and separating, analyzing additives, vitamins, preservatives, proteins, and amino acids. Chromatography like HPLC is used in DNA fingerprinting and bioinformatics. Assay and content uniformity, HPLC in fingerprinting and bioinformatics, petrochemicals and gases, Ebola immunization, polyomasis, clinical tuberculosis and disease and disorder, LC-NMR. The pharmaceutical sector to identify and analyze samples for the presence of trace elements or chemicals, separation of compounds based on their molecular weight and elements composition, detects the unknown compounds and purity of mixture in drug development. In chemical industry, testing water sample and also checks air quality. HPLC and GC are very much used for detecting various contaminants such as polychlorinated biphenyl in pesticides and oils. In forensic science, pathology and crime scene testing like analyzing blood and hair sample of crime place. In molecular biology studies, various hyphenated techniques in chromatography such as ECLC-MS are applied in the study of metabolomics and proteomics along with nucleic acid research. HPLC is used in protein separation like insulin purification, plasma fractionation, and enzyme purification, and also in various departments like fuel industry, biotechnology, and biochemical processes. Thank you.
To sum up what we have discussed in this entire lecturing is first we have discussed about the introduction and classification of chromatography, which are explained by Satish, and next we have discussed about the chromatograms and some basic terms and factors which influence the chromatographic techniques which are dealt by Kavya, and then we have discussed about the column efficiency, Foley-Dorsey equation, which are dealt by Sharavana. And next, we have discussed about the development of chromatograms and non-ideal behavior of chromatograms, which are done by Priyanka. And next, we have discussed about the optimization of chromatographic separations, which are done by Basavaraju. Next, we have discussed about the optimization of chromatographic condition, considering the column efficiency, which are done by Rupashri. And then we have discussed about the criteria for the selection of stationary phase and mobile phase, which are done by G.V. Sahana. And at the last, we have discussed about the various applications of chromatography in various branches, which are dealt by Mahadev Prasad. Thank you.